Love Thank You for Saying No? Want more episodes? Short on time? We got you. We're starting a weekly drop of shorter Thank You for Saying No interviews called Rejection Reflections. Every Monday morning, we're going to release a 10-minute or less episode. These are impromptu interviews with people who have an inspiring thank you for saying no moment. That means we record these episodes anywhere and everywhere. I hope they inspire you and help you to start your week off on a positive note.
Hey everybody, it's Kenya, and this is the Thank You for Saying No podcast, where we find meaning in life's unexpected turns.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Ariel at the Podcast 2023 conference. Do you want to tell everybody what you do?
I would love to. I am the community marketing manager at Descript, and I also run a podcast recommendation newsletter called Earbuds Podcast Collective, and I also do PR and marketing work for podcasters through Tink Media, and I just love podcasts. They're my whole life.
Yeah, I remember that when I first met you, you really gave me the whole lowdown on everything, and I seriously just ran with it.
Good. That's the way to go. I'm glad you just implicitly trusted me.
I really did. I was like, she looks trustworthy.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about a thank you for saying no moment you've had in your career and relationships, whatever it may be, and how you felt and what it led you to or what you learned.
Yes. Okay. So I've been thinking about this for a while, and I thought that there could be a number of directions I could go in, but the direction I will go in is sort of personal, sort of professional. Okay. So during college, I really wanted to go abroad to Spain. I just thought that it would change my life, and I kind of was leading up to, I love ancient cities. I love ancient ruins. And I knew I wanted to go specifically to Spain because I love ancient Jewish history. Oh. And there are so many interesting places in Spain for Jewish history.
Yeah, I'm actually obsessed with Jewish history.
Oh, yeah?
I have so many books about it.
It's fascinating. So I really wanted to go to Spain. And before my junior year of college, I was planning to go junior year. But during that summer, I got a call from my geography professor, and I was studying geography. Okay. And I love geography. And he said to me, there's an opportunity for you to go to China and to teach geography to 11th and 12th graders.
Wow.
And we'll pay you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to Spain. That is where somebody said no, but somebody said yes, to China. And I was not excited about China. Yeah. I mean, it was going to be a completely different thing, but I can't not go. You can't not take that opportunity, right? Yeah. So I went to a city in China, 3 hours northwest of Shanghai, a quote unquote small town in Chinese standards, but really it was 8 million people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I taught at a school in China for a semester, and I was the on the ground geography support professor, and I was the liaison between my professor who was in America and the kids on the ground. And when I was there, I was one of the only native English speaking people in the city.
Wow. Oh my God.
And probably not, if you live in this town, you probably have discussed. I wish the internet had been more robust then. It was 2012. And yes, we had the internet, but I didn't really know how to search for communities. I didn't really know how to search for, affinity groups.
Chinese?
No.
Okay. So how did you teach them geography?
So it was in English, thank God. It was an international school. Okay. So all these kids were Chinese, but they had dreams of going to college in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
And so the U.S. or Germany for some reason. And so they were all relatively well-versed in English, so I could communicate with them. And I was helping them with geography, but also with applying to college. So it was really, really interesting. And a lot of them ended up going to the college that I went to.
Yeah.
Because that was sort of part of the exchange program.
Yeah.
And when I was there was another native English speaking teacher. His name was Nate. We were
Did you guys get married?
No.
Oh, okay.
We were so lonely together. And we were not necessarily a match friendship wise, but we kind of just had each other.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting. And he was Mormon, I'm Jewish, and we had so much we just talked about religion all the freaking time.
Yeah.
And there were other Mormons in the city.
Yeah.
Because not because of missions, but because China doesn't technically allow missions in 2012 at least. Okay. But there were Mormons in the city because they all went to school in Rexburg, Idaho, which is where one of the Brigham Young universities is.
Yeah.
And in Rexburg, Idaho, there's also something called China Horizons, which was you could sign up to be a teacher in China. So a bunch of Mormons, Latter-day Saints, I guess I should say, because I think Mormons is not the phrase that they like anymore.
Okay.
They were in this city, and if I wanted to speak English with people, I would have to go to Bible study.
Wow.
So and
interesting.
I know.
Because you're Jewish.
Yeah, and I actually kind of know what I'm talking about.
Wow.
Old Testament wise. I can't do New Testament, but like my friends were like 11th and 12th grade Chinese kids who were sweet as hell and like wanted to include me as much as they could, but also like I was 20 and they were, I literally had just turned 20 and they were, 15, 16, 17. So we're not like, it's not the best match ever, but they took me out to dinner and they advocated for me because I don't eat anything basically. Yeah. And I learned a lot by being told no to one thing.
Yeah.
And then I learned how to be alone. I learned how to eat dinner alone. I learned how to get lost in a city. I learned how to communicate without language.
Yeah.
I learned how to travel really long distances and to be scared.
Yeah.
But to ultimately, I'm just really grateful to have had that experience. Yeah.
No, that's so crazy because it taught you so much about yourself and what you're capable of.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think so I graduated college in 2014, and I very easily, every city that I've moved to, have made friends, or at least have made connections that I feel very comfortable going up to and being like, hi, what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you want to get dinner? Do you want to talk about
lived?
this? Do you want to talk about that? Right after college, I moved to Mississippi. I lived in Jackson for 2 years. And then I moved to Los Angeles. Then I moved to St. Louis for a little bit. Then I moved to Los Angeles. Then I moved to Portland, Maine. And then I moved back to New York.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Everywhere I go, I employ the skills that I learned when I was alone in China.
I love that. I feel the same way because I've lived in Miami, D.C., the Bay. I haven't lived in a different country, but that first time you go to a new city and you explore it and you like conquer it, you're like, oh, I could do this.
And I travel alone all the time. Last year I went to Malaysia and Singapore alone. I went to I spent some time in Germany alone. I then went to Amsterdam alone. I went to France alone, London. Wow. I love, it gets lonely, but I think having the skill of being able to be alone and to go on walking tours and then go up to the people who are in the walking tour with you and say, hey, do you want to get lunch after this? And they're down and they feel the same way is a really great skill to have.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Follow and subscribe to the Thank You for Saying No podcast, and you'll get every episode as soon as it's released.